Who should you be targeting on your Dynasty waiver wires this week? All that and more on today's Locked On Dynasty.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Matt Williamson and Ryan McDowell.
Thanks for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs, the most comfortable shorts, pants, and sweatpants with built-in liners. Go to birddogs.com, use promo code LOCKEDON, and boom, a free Bird Dogs rope hat with your pair of Bird Dogs. Welcome to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan McDowell. You can find me on Twitter at RyanMC23. Joining me, as always, is Matt Williamson. Follow Matt on Twitter at WilliamsonNFL. Matt, how's it going today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good as well. We're 6 weeks in. I can't believe it. We have the same conversation every week and really every season. We've been doing this for a few years now, but we just have the countdown every off season, and then once it gets here, it flies by. That's where it is this year. At least that's how it feels to me. I don't know. I know you're a little busier. You're a little deeper into the weeds with the Steelers and just the day to day than I am. So maybe it doesn't feel that way to you, but it does. Just seems like it's flying.
It does. I mean, it's such a Groundhog Day effect week after week. Every Tuesday at noon is the same. And before you know it, you look around and it's supposed to snow here tomorrow. And it's like, wow, we're like in the middle of the winter and, like in the middle of NFL season. It's starting to feel like it too,
Matt, it's Tuesday. We're going to talk some dynasty transactions like we always do on Tuesdays. I've got to ask you, though, I love the inside info you give us on the Steelers. Deontay Johnson, Mitch Trubisky, are they fighting in the locker room? What's going on here? It sounds like trouble.
I kind of just got wind of this very recently, like 2 hours before we recorded. I don't know. The way the report sounded, it was like he got benched because they were yelling at each other in the locker room. I doubt that's actually – I understand how Coach Tomlin thinks enough that would not be a reason to bench your starting quarterback and alter the way the franchise is going, because they're screaming at each other in the locker room because the offense was so bad. But I do think some of the receivers were frustrated with Trubisky his first go round.
Sure, those reports are out there, but it's got to be kind of frustrating though that this comes out after a win, after he played well, after Trubisky was forced to come in and played pretty well on Sunday. So yeah, it's kind of a messy situation. Even when you get a big win, maybe it doesn't feel like it all the time. Again, it is Tuesday. We're talking dynasty transactions. We're hitting the waiver wire here, and there's a few interesting situations going on. I want to get your take on, Matt. We heard following Sunday's game. Actually, it was Thursday's game, but we heard early this week that Carson Wentz is going to miss some time. On this episode last week, and this was obviously not based on injury, but just based on the disappointing play, the up and down play of Carson Wentz, we suggested both Taylor Heinicke and Sam Howell as waiver wire pickups. I grabbed Heinicke in a couple spots. I hope you guys did too, because he is now in line to make some starts, as many as 4 potentially over the next several weeks with Carson Wentz out. And I mean, this is one of those situations. It doesn't even feel like a downgrade, Matt.
No, it really doesn't. I own McLaurin in a bunch of leagues, and it's not like, he's shot.
Right.
Maybe even gets a spike. He's been a little frustrating, for example. Heinicke's very capable. I think that's the best word I can come up with for him. I'm a Sam Howell. I don't say believer. That's a little strong for a 5th round pick, but I'm interested in him. I think we'll see him at some point this year. But it's probably more of a week 17 type of situation, or when they're out of it situation. I think Heinicke can hold down the fort just fine. I mean, I'm not super interested in him for fantasy, though.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we've seen how the quarterback carousel has gone with so many injuries this season, especially. So both of these guys are certainly worth a pickup.
Yeah.
I want to ask also about Bailey Zappi. Had his best game of the season, of his career on Sunday in a big win for the Patriots, over 300 yards. And we're starting to hear whispers about a quarterback controversy. We did this with Dallas and Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush, and then Rush played pretty poorly on Sunday night. So I think that all has gone away, but that felt different. I mean, Dak Prescott is is more established, both in from a fantasy standpoint and certainly from an NFL standpoint as well. And you know, maybe it was a discussion on the morning shows, but I don't think it was ever really any type of consideration that Cooper Rush would continue to start when Dak was ready.
The contracts tell you differently.
This feels a little bit different, though.
I guess. I mean, I guess the Zappe supporters would say the offense has been at its best with Zappe as opposed to Mac Jones, who was not playing great before he got hurt, by the way. That's kind of the underreported story here. Turned the ball over a lot, which I'm sure Belichick hated. But I'm really starting to dig into EPA more and more this year than before. And go look at the, like defensive EPA or really any metric, a DVOA or yards or whatever. It's the Seahawks, it's the Lions, and the Browns that are sitting way below everyone else in the league. And New England just played two of them. I mean,
yeah, that's fair.
I have respect for Zappe. He's a quick processor. He's smart. He's acclimated quickly. His arm is terrible. I really want nothing to do with him. I wish I owned him so I could sell him right now.
You're taking any second rounder for him in a super flex, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's probably absolute best case that you could get for him. Take a couple thirds if you can get it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the Mac Jones owner wants him.
Yeah, it sounds like Mac Jones will be healthy enough to play here very soon. So the Zappe era could be coming to a close. Let's look at pass catchers really quickly. The other news we got on Monday, and this is following Sunday's events, of course. Robbie Anderson traded to the Arizona Cardinals. That's kind of twofold. We saw a Marquise Brown injury, so maybe a need there for the Cardinals. Sounds like he'll miss some time, but maybe not as much as initially feared. Robbie Anderson, we all saw the blow up on Sunday with the position coach, I believe it was, basically having a heated argument on the sideline. I think he was actually sent back to the locker room. He was pretty much
kicked off the field. Yeah.
Kicked out of the game by his own team, by his own coaching staff. Since the coaching change was made there, we've heard some trade rumors with Anderson, even with Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore. So no real surprise that Anderson was moved. But that does open up some opportunities there for the next guys in line in Carolina. And this is still not an offense that we're very excited about. We haven't even seen DJ Moore or Anderson have much success, but Shi Smith, Terrace Marshall, those are kind of the next guys up in Carolina. And you would have to think both, one or maybe even both of them get some increased playing time.
And they're both young, and I'm sure they want to see what they have in them, and they definitely will get the playing time, as you mentioned. I would imagine that's your three receiver set is Marshall, Smith, and Moore. It's just, I mentioned EPA. I mean, Carolina's last by a million. I mean, it's the worst offense you can ever imagine. And I don't know, turning to Sam Darnold they have 5 quarterbacks that are all brand name guys, and they're all terrible. I thought Marshall was really bad as a rookie.
Yeah.
I think Smith is kind of intriguing as a slot, but I'm not putting a lot of money to grab these guys out of my budget.
Yeah, you're right. We had ended up the past couple weeks on here chatting about who might be the worst team in football. We threw your Steelers into that conversation.
Not anymore.
I think it's pretty clearly the Carolina Panthers at the moment, and not even close. We talked about last week a couple of rookie tight ends, Daniel Bellinger, Cade Otton. Bellinger continues to play well. If he's been, for some reason, ignored on your waiver wire, grab him. And Cade Otton, unfortunately, Cam Brate suffered another pretty scary injury. So Otton, I would assume, is in line for some more playing time. If either of those guys are still out there, grab them. Matt,
those
when we come back,
ones to me. I mean, you jump all over those guys. So they have bright futures, I think.
Absolutely. When we come back, we'll talk about some running backs to look for on the waiver wire.
everyone, Bird Dogs is a new sponsor of ours, and they sent me a pair of their new sweatpants, and I love them. I mean, I mentioned that it's starting to get chilly here. We got I am a shorts until basically snow type of guy. But I threw these sweats on, and I'm like, these are really comfortable. They fit me perfectly. I pretty much have been wearing them a ton since, and I highly recommend. They're super comfortable, like that cute little Charmin bear rubbing up against your thighs. You know that comfy little bear family. I am not a golfer, but they often talk about how Bird Dog pants are perfect for fall golf. I could absolutely understand that, either if it's Florida or if it's 10 degrees or somewhere in between like it is here. Their joggers are higher quality than Lululemon, and they're $20 less. So, go buy some Bird Dogs. They're really good stuff here. And this is what you do. Go to birddogs.com, enter the promo code Locked On, and they'll throw in a free Bird Dogs rope hat. That's birddogs.com, promo code Locked On, and boom, a free Bird Dogs rope hat with your pair of Bird Dogs. The most comfortable shorts, pants, and sweatpants with built-in liners. You will not take these things off. I promise you. I have been in the exact same situation. Also want to tell you guys about LinkedIn Jobs. I'm in a strange career, obviously, but I have several friends that have used LinkedIn Jobs either for hiring or to try to get hired themselves. They've all been thrilled about it. I mentioned it to them a couple times, and they use our promo code and all that good stuff as well. They have simple tools like screening questions, make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. And, they're just flooded with so many people at their site all the time. I mean, heavily into the millions. So it's pretty crazy. So that's why you need to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. So here's what you do. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to much faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
Matt, let's finish up the waiver wire conversation for this week with the running backs. We had a ton of them listed last week. Some of those guys paid off, and some we're still waiting on. Just as far as some follow-ups, Gus Edwards, Damian Williams, still waiting on those guys to get back on the field. I would still be looking for both of them. Matt Breida, we saw the same thing with Saquon Barkley. We saw him get banged up. He leaves the game, kind of shakes it off with that shoulder and comes back in. I don't know. I hate the feeling because we love the player, one of the best running backs in the league, but it just kind of feels like an injury is coming with this guy. I hope not. I hope that's totally wrong, but just in case, I'm going to grab Matt Breida where I can. And we kind of saw a change with a couple of these NFC West teams this week. We knew the change was coming in Seattle following the injury to Rashad Penny, and Kenneth Walker looked like, all that was promised coming into this season and through that pre-draft process. He looks like a dynasty RB1 already. He's certainly not on your dynasty waiver wire, but sure. DJ Dallas, Travis Homer, maybe they are. They're going to see obviously a small role, but worth grabbing. We know Seattle likes to continue to use multiple running backs. And the Rams, this is really what I wanted to get your take on, Matt. We heard late last week that Cam Akers was going to be inactive in week 6 due to a personal issue. Ultimately, it was revealed that wasn't really a personal issue, maybe a personal issue between him and the coaching staff, because at this point, he's essentially played his last snap for the LA Rams. They're trying to trade him. I can't imagine they're going to have much luck with that, honestly. Right. The waiver wire move here is go ahead and grab Malcolm Brown. He's a veteran who's been around for a while. Darrell Henderson's going to be the guy there, but Brown, as we saw on Sunday, is going to get some snaps. But really, I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts on Akers? I mean, we've seen this type of situation in the past, and it it never really goes well. This kind of feels like the beginning of the end for the player.
Sure does. And he really hasn't run particularly well since his injury. I loved him pre-injury. I kind of got lucky and didn't own him as much as I would have liked at the time. Curious where he lands. I mean, I'm sure compensation will tell us a lot. I mean, he's not making a lot of money. If someone trades like a six round pick for Akers, that's not a ringing endorsement of all of what people think of his talent and where he is, maybe even medically. I do think that I'm also not the biggest Henderson fan, nor do I trust him to hold up. So anyone that is one injury away, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Akers has not been good, but Henderson hasn't been good either.
No,
and really that entire
terrible.
Offense.
Right.
Yeah, the entire offense has been pretty disappointing outside of Cooper Kupp.
No doubt. But if there's ever a back that's one injury away from being a bell cow, and I think DJ Dallas might be in that situation now, you have to own him, just because I understand that Williams, the rookie from Notre Dame, is in the mix, but Malcolm Brown's been around the block enough that I think he would get at least the bulk of the touches if Henderson were to go down. And in the meantime, maybe even threatens Henderson and short yardage, things like that. One other name you didn't mention, I just want to throw out there that still might be available. I think Huntley in Atlanta is better than I thought and really fits the power back, beat your face up, some Falcons mold that they're building.
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed with Huntley as well.
Yeah.
It feels like just such a messy situation.
Oh.
I mean, we've got Huntley and the rookie Tyler Algier playing right now. Of course, Cordarrelle Patterson will be back hopefully in a couple weeks. And then Damian Williams is eligible to return soon as well. So I'm with you. I've been impressed with Huntley
so much.
Right. Yeah. I've been impressed with Huntley. I don't know that I see much of a path, but certainly right now worth a roster spot as we try to figure out that situation. Do you see any landing spots back to Akers really quickly? I don't think he's going to have any real trade value. Ultimately, they probably just cut him and move on. If that's the case, do you see him catching on with a team, or maybe you disagree with me and think he does get dealt?
That's sort of a medical issue to me. I mean, I wonder what team doctors think of him, but I think they might be able to squeeze a 6th-round pick or something out of him.
Okay.
Breida's on this list. What if he backed up Barkley or something along those lines? The other running back news is I guess there's a chance McCaffrey gets dealt. I'm sure Foreman's already in your league, but if it's a shallow league, you better grab him. And I guess Chuba is, rosterable now as well.
Yeah, you mentioned some good names there that I didn't have on my list, both Carolina backs. There was a report that the Panthers want a 1st-round pick plus for McCaffrey. If they hold firm at that, then he's not going anywhere. I don't think he's getting a 1st-rounder or fetching a 1st-rounder at this point. But if he does get dealt, Foreman and Chuba Hubbard, worthy of an ad. And you mentioned Kyron Williams as well.
Yeah.
He's another guy in that Gus Edwards, Damian Williams mold. He's on IR. We've kind of forgotten about him, but should be back soon and certainly worth a roster spot. And we'll probably get some opportunity there with the Rams. Matt, when we come back, we're going to talk about 3 rookie wide receivers that I'm having trouble sorting out and getting a true value on. I'm going to get your take on these guys.
I've told you guys a lot about Prize Picks. I'm a big fan. I mean, what I love about it is you're not competing against a bunch of other humans that are obviously variables. It's really just you versus, the number they give you. Is it going to go over? Is it going to be under? I've won a fair amount of money. I have some entries in there now and, keep my fingers crossed that they work out as well. So this is how it works. You pick between 2 and 5 players, and if they will go score more or less than their Prize Pick projection, that's it. You can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections that they provide. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch. That includes, of course, NFL, and that's what I hit the hardest. NBA, Major League Baseball playoffs, hockey's back in swing, golf, college football. I mean, NASCAR, esports, women's college basketball, disc golf, cricket. I mean, I look at these things like disc golf and cricket, and if I knew a fair amount about those, I'm sure I'd make a fortune with this. So, I mean, pretty interesting stuff. Can do it all in 60 seconds or less. Safe and fast withdrawals. I've already taken money out with my winnings. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. So download the Prize Pick app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with our promo code Locked On. So if you deposit $100, Prize Picks gives you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks gives you $50. Don't forget the promo code Locked On at sign up for instant deposit match up to $100.
Thanks again for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every day. Make sure you check out the NFL Key Predictions every Friday on Locked On NFL. Locked On's local experts give you the inside scoop on the 5 biggest games of the NFL weekend, including Sunday and Monday Night Football, plus betting advice from the field's leading experts, Bet Online. Follow NFL Key Predictions every Friday on Locked On NFL, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Matt, I've got to ask you about these 3 rookie wide receivers. Each of these guys have been gaining value, pretty impressive start to the season, and then they've kind of hit a wall of different sorts. Let's talk about Drake London, Atlanta Falcons rookie. He's the wide receiver 9 in our new ADP. 12 overall for Drake London. We've already talked about that. We agreed that was a little too high for him.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver 14, 23 overall, and Chris Olave, the wide receiver 16, 27 overall for these 3 guys. So I want to try to put these guys into categories if we can. Let's make it simple here. We're going to label one of these a buy, one a sell, and one a hold. And okay. I've got some recent trades to help you do that. So
real quick before you do, I think lumping these 3 together is excellent because their tape, the player, their attributes are all very impressive and maybe even more impressive to me than when they were drafted. Mm-hmm. But Atlanta doesn't throw the ball. The Jets are cutting down drastically on their pass attempts with Wilson a quarterback, and they got more mouths to feed than anybody. And Olave, to me, is very Jameis Winston dependent. I mean, he's the deep ball guy for them. Maybe he develops into more, but he's not a Dalton nickel and dimer.
Olave's probably my favorite. I think before we dig into these trades here, Olave would be my buy. Wilson would be my sell, and London would be my hold. That's how I would have it right now. What about you? First initial thoughts here.
I don't feel super strong about it, but I disagree with you on all 3. I'm going to go. I'm buying Wilson.
Okay.
I think he has a chance to be the most special football player of the group. And I'm a scout at heart, and I will bet on talent to eventually show up. Not that the other 2 are slouches.
Sure.
I'm selling London just because I can get the most for him at 12 overall. I mean, that's the biggest price tag. So Olave's my hold.
Okay. Well, let's look at some recent trades that have gone down, and we'll see if either of us change our mind. I've got 3 trades for each of these players, and these have all come within the last week to 10 days. So very recent trades, all dynasty trades, of course. And we use the DLF Dynasty Trade Finder tool to pull these. So these are trades that have actually gone down in real dynasty leagues. Some of these might be hard for you to believe, Matt. Drake London. Here are the 3 trades pulled for Drake London. Drake London, even up for Cooper Kupp. 1 for 1, London for Kupp.
In a vacuum, Kupp's worth more than London to me.
Sure.
I mean, if I'm a total rebuild youth movement, that's maybe a different story. But I still feel like if I'm dealing Cooper Kupp for London, I could get a second back as well.
Right. I want a little bit more there.
Mm-hmm.
Drake London for DeAndre Swift. That's another 1 for 1 trade. And the third one, London plus Brandon Ayuk for Jonathan Taylor. So you're talking about Kupp, Taylor, and Swift as players you're getting in return for Drake London. You called London your sell. I think that's looking pretty good so far. I mean, if these are the players he's bringing in return,
then I'm selling.
It sure makes sense to consider moving him, even though we're just 6 weeks into his career here.
Yeah, if I can get Swift for him straight up, or the only difference is I got to throw in Ayuk, who I like a lot. I mean, I don't know that Ayuk plus Swift equals Taylor. Either way, I still want the Taylor side. I mean, those guys are really young. Taylor Swift, you did to me again.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm selling them at all those prices.
Let's talk Garrett Wilson really quickly. Garrett Wilson, here are the trades he was involved in. Garrett Wilson for Mixon and Jacoby Myers. So you get Joe Mixon plus the veteran receiver. Garrett Wilson, a second rounder and a third rounder. So Wilson and a couple of picks for Deebo Samuel and Garrett Wilson for J.K. Dobbins. I said I was selling Garrett Wilson. You said you were buying Garrett Wilson.
I was buying.
At these prices, I'm okay with buying. I think I'd rather have him than Dobbins right now.
Oh, I'd give you Dobbins for him straight up in a blink.
Yeah. I'm okay with all three of these trades. I don't think any of them are outlandish or anything like that.
No, I favor the Deebo side. I think Wilson is worth much more than Dobbins. Wilson for Mixon and Myers, I understand, but Myers isn't really for me.
All right, let's look at Chris Olave and the trades that he's been involved in, and we'll put some final labels on these three rookies. Chris Olave, 1-for-1 for Mike Williams. So Olave for Mike Williams. I'm taking Olave there.
Okay.
Really easily.
Wow. I mean, what are they, 5 years difference? In receiver years, that's not that big a deal.
Oh, I think they're more than that. Yeah, maybe more than that.
Maybe.
Chris Olave plus Tony Pollard. So Olave and Pollard for Michael Pittman and Alexander Madison. You figure Pittman's probably valued as the better receiver right now. Pollard as the better running back. I want the Olave and Pollard side here as well.
I want Pittman. I want Pittman.
So.
Pollard and Madison aren't that much different to me.
And then Chris Olave for a first rounder, a second rounder, and a third rounder. One of my favorite moves in fantasy. All for, it's the Ricky Williams move. For your entire draft class for one player. It looks like a lot more than it really is.
True, right.
3 picks for Chris Olave. What do you want there?
Probably the 3 picks, but sometimes you end up just with too many picks and you can't get them on your roster. And maybe this is, 112 and then it's not quite as attractive, but this one's close to me. This one would be very team dependent.
Yeah. I think I'm going the other way on this one. I like the move in general of offering the full draft class, but with what we have coming up in 2023, giving up a first rounder plus for Olave, even though I like him a lot, I like some of those 2023 rookies a lot as well. So I think I'm taking the picks on that specific deal.
I think I would too.
All right, let's revisit, put some final labels on. We'll see if we can agree. I'm certainly selling Drake London based on the players that he brought in. So I'm flipping over to your side. I'm agreeing with you there. I'm still buying Chris Olave. He's the guy I want the most. So that makes Garrett Wilson a hold for me. What about you? Did any of these deals change your mind?
No, I think London's a sell for both of us, and the Ohio State guys we have flipped. But they're hold. I mean, they're not buy versus sell. I mean, one of them's a hold and one's a buy. So
sure,
we're pretty close.
Yeah, we came around. Thanks for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every day. Now make your second listen the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson give you the expert NFL analysis in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. That will do it for today's show. Please make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Remember to follow the show at Locked On Dynasty. Follow Matt at Williamson NFL. And I'm Ryan, MC23. We'll be back next time with more Locked On Dynasty.